Okay.
That's 4. Okay.
So Brandon, how you doing?
I'm good. I forgot to plug in my headphones until just now, so if you were saying anything the past 2 minutes, I didn't hear anything.
Oh,
So
I love you.
Hmm. Hmm.
but it should be good now.
Okay. All right. You might to stay back. I'd like to talk to you, Brandon. Okay, after
Yeah.
this. Okay. Yeah. All right. So let's see here. Emily, how is your meditation?
Well, last night I had a stomach ache, and so I tried to make it feel better by using meditation, and it worked. So it's going better.
Yeah, that's nice to hear. How about you, Lesis? How your meditation?
It's been pretty good. I've been trying to figure out what's a good type of meditation to be using for like volleyball, like whenever I'm playing. So I don't know if you have any recommendations for that, but I really appreciate that.
Yeah. According to some researchers, they say that as long as you really focus your mind on the games, that perfect. As long as you in tune with your games, that perfect. That is called mindfulness. Mindfulness means you know what you're doing, that you are with that games, you are at that present moment. Remember, let's say when you threw the ball and when you're ready to hit the ball, what happened when you think, oh, I forgot to do my homework. You may miss that ball.
Yeah.
Or would not be hit. You would not hit that ball correctly. Within a split second, right? If you have that thought, or the thought, oh, I don't know whether I hit the ball correctly or not. With that thought, what happened then? What happened then?
Then you don't hit it correctly.
Yeah. So you're really in tune with the games. You're really in tune with the ball. You're really in tune with the team, your team, and even the opponent's team too. Simple.
Okay. Well, thank you.
There is no trick except how you are in tune with the games. Are you in tune with anything that you're doing?
Okay.
That's part
I'm
of
gonna try that. I'm gonna try that tomorrow, and I'll let you know how it goes.
Sure. Okay. Hi, look. How you been, look?
I've been good. How are you?
Yeah, fine. Scarlett, right?
Yeah,
How you been?
I've been good.
Yeah, do you have the number to talk today? Jesse too, you have the number to talk today? We have 7 questions. So we have 7 students here. I hope that actually Brandon Amber has number 4. But well, I don't know whether you can switch to different number. I want to discuss whole 7 questions so that we can learn together.
Yeah, I can change my question to one we haven't done yet. Let me go look at those real quick.
That's good. So Jesse, how is your meditation?
It was all right this week. I did it inside this week instead of last week. I did it outside, and I feel like maybe that was a little better because there were fewer distractions, but it was a little better.
Yeah, now the weather is still warm. Yeah, you can stay in the back of your house or walk around the school and so forth. So be with the nature is more healthy. How about you, look? How is your meditation?
So I was gonna do my meditation actually today because one of my classes were outside at the amphitheater. I hadn't found time for it though, but I do try because my first 2 sessions of meditation they were both inside, and I really wanted to try doing one outside, but it's been super super hot as I'm sure you know.
Okay.
So hopefully I can get one outside this week.
Okay. Would you mind to stay back? I'd like to talk to you after this class, okay? Yeah. All right. So How about you, Brandon? How is your meditation, Brandon?
It's good. I tried it over the weekend and it really helped me reset for all the chaos. I wrote in one of my things, but one of the problems is I have OCD, so like my mind is constantly racing with thoughts like one after another. So being able to turn those off was really hard, but I was able to do it for a little bit. So I thought that was a step in the right direction.
Okay, good. Thank you. Scarlett, you are doing so okay with meditation?
Yeah, this week was a lot easier than last week. I think same with a lot of people. It's just easier for me to focus and not get so distracted.
Okay, how about this? Before we start, how about we do let's see, sorry. How about 2 minutes, but 1 minute at a time. Okay, we do together, okay? We do twice, okay? 1 minute at a time. I will hit the bell to start, and the cell phone timer we start first. But here, get relax yourself. Get inhale, exhale, inhale, exhale. If you want to count that rate, if you don't, you just follow your breath. Be present with your breath. Be present with your beings. Be present with your feeling. Okay? You hear any voice, any sound there? You hear any voice out there? No, because we have after school programs, so you don't hear any voice, right? Any sound, right? Oh, that's great. Okay, let's start 1 minute, please. All right, you keep the only thing you need to do is just keep your back straight, your neck straight. That's all. 1 minute, feel quick. All right, ready? Okay, 1 minute, quick, right? All right, let's try one more time. Okay, 1 more minute. Okay, yeah. Okay, let's pass. Okay, how is that, Jesse? It calm your mind enough, Jesse?
Sorry.
It's calm your mind enough, or too quick, too short?
It wasn't, it helped a little bit. It was kind of short, but it's better than nothing.
Emily, how was that?
I got interrupted in the middle of it, but it's good.
Yes. Scarlett, a couple of minutes is enough for you, or too short?
I thought it was good. I think it was probably a little short, but it helped.
But look.
I thought that was really good. I think I felt for the first time, and this may sound a little weird. I feel like whenever I was breathing in, I felt like my eyelids going up, and then whenever I breathed out, they were going down, and I haven't been able to feel that before. So I think that was really nice.
Oh, okay. Yeah. How about Brandon?
It was good. A little short. I kept noticing like during it, I was like, oh my fan's running, or I hear the AC, or I hear like the washer. So I was still noticing those things, but like trying to shut them off.
Lexis, it's quick for you, too short for you.
It was quick, but I also like to use like short little ones in like times whenever I don't have enough time to do like a really long meditation. Like sometimes whenever I'm like at the hospital or something like that, I've only got like a minute to take a break, and that usually helps me like reset and be more mindful the rest of the day.
See, even before you take a test, before you have an interview, before you have any important event, an important meeting to have, just close your eyes and sit still for a couple minutes. That's more than enough to calm your mind. If you do that kind of Habitual-Pardon, I think it's much better for you to prepare anything that you do, especially with the important event in your life, right? So that's why meditation every day is so important. It's eventually become a part of what they call mental food. We consume food, cooking, and so forth for our physical body. But when we have the kind of Habitual-Pardon, the practice of meditation become our mental food. Okay. All right, let's start our session then. Let's see here. All right, look. Yeah, you have number one, right? Look, go ahead. Can you read the question, please? Look.
I sure can.
Yeah.
So
please.
the question asks, it says, explain the operational definitions, validation, and measurement of the MBSR, or mindfulness-based stress reduction. And then how I defined that was that MBSR it's like a program, and it consists of a whole bunch of different meditation practices, and the goal is that one can apply it to their daily life, just throughout the day and with their daily practices. So that's what I had for the definition. The validation portion, I said, although there isn't any evidence that MBSR actually enhances one's ability to produce a state of mindfulness, it has been validated as a way to make one more conscious of their situation through a cognitive, emotional, and somatic experience in a conceptualized and approach-oriented way. That's what I had for the validation. And then measurement, forgive my butchered pronunciations, but it says MBSR is measured through the Abhidhamma study of this Aga, or otherwise known as the path of purification, and it consists of 3 different steps, which the first says that it maintains attention towards a single focal point, and it allows you to disengage from any kind of irrelevant thought. The second step is observing the reality of the present moment, and being able to not have any kind of feelings of judgment or anything of the sort. And then the third step is just being able to acknowledge and accept the situation, like the present situation as is.
Well, that's great. Let's see here. So can you give one more time what's mean operational definition of mindfulness?
Yeah. So the definition that I said?
The operational definition.
So I said that it's a program that consists of the various types of meditation practices that are meant to be applied throughout the daily aspects of one's life. And that's just a condensed version.
Actually, in the article, it's mentioned clearly operational definition of mindfulness will be used. So here, awareness that emerge to pay attention on purpose and present moment and non-judgmentally to the unfolding of the experience moment by moment. So that's what's specific about this operational definition here. You follow that?
Yes.
Right here. Yeah, and the rest, this is other definition too. Yeah, okay. So since
yeah, I see that now. Yes.
You see that now? Okay. So I designed the question based upon the articles. So you need to read the article carefully before you respond to the question. Yeah. Okay. All right. So here when they talk about sorry, let me go back here. Yeah, another definition you did correctly, but please remember, my question was set up by those information that I post online. I mean that depend on the articles, so that's why I designed those questions. Okay, very good. And Lexi, number 2, please read the question, please.
The question is, expound the mechanisms of action and clinical issues of MBSR.
Okay.
So starting off, MBSR is, like Luke said, it's used as like a tool to help people master meditation practices and find the best overall state of mindfulness for themselves. So the mechanism of action is basically like the active component of that is the mindful state or the state of mindfulness that that person is finding. And how this works is that the participants in MBSR they have to complete this 8-week, it's an 8-week course, and it is 45 minutes daily of mindfulness. And that is like the clinical aspect of it, is that you have to do this every single day for 8 weeks, 45 minutes to see a change. And it's tested through seeing the different, because it can be used for different critical illnesses or whatever it's called, chronic illnesses. So it's tested by looking at how they were before starting this MBSR and then what changes they have in their symptoms afterwards. And it's supposed to help these people get a good working knowledge of how to sustain a mindfulness state and be able to practice it daily. And then some of the clinical issues that occur with this is some people brought up that the how it might work is that since these people are spending 45 minutes a day being mindful, it might just be that 45 minutes being spent restful, that might be the reason why they are seeing like a change. And that's why if this is to be used in like a clinical setting, it has to go through more extensive testing to be used on like the same level as CBT. But it can still be used with CBT in treatment. But it's also, you want to look at the type of patients that you would use this with, because if you have a patient who has trouble staying focused for 45 minutes, like they have ADHD or they have they're not able to focus for that long, it may not be helpful for them, and it may just make them more restless and may not help at all.
Do you know the 7 attitudes of the MBSR? No. Okay. Anyone that know 7 attitudes of MBSR is so important. when you come across the MBSR, you need to recognize them. It's one of the mechanism of this type of mindfulness-based therapies. Let me share with anyone of you know? No?
Isn't one of them beginner's mind? Having the beginner's mind?
Yeah, why is that? Why one of them is beginning mind? What's that? Beginner mind, why?
Isn't the beginner's mind mean you're going into something aware that you don't know everything and that you want to learn what is happening and you're willing to learn and accepting that you don't know everything or something like that? I can't remember. But just having that willingness and openness of wanting to learn something new.
Okay, so remember that whenever you have the type of, you can say, open mind attitude, right? A beginner mind, you walk into the classroom with that attitude, much easier for you to absorb whichever thing the professor taught, right? But what happened if you walk into the room and say, "Oh, I know already"? What happened then?
You don't learn anything new.
Yeah, you would not. You would not say, "Oh no, I know already." So you will not pay attention much, right? So that's why one of the attitudes. Let me share with you the chart here, right here. Here, beginner mind, non-judgmental, patient, acceptance, non-striving, trust, letting go. So they are the 7 attitudes that the MBSR practitioner should know. And you see that, yeah, non-judgmental. What do you think? Why so important? Why it belong to one of the 7 in this kind of circular micro practice? Anyone know why non-judgment is so important? Why is that?
Because this is usually used with people who have like chronic illnesses or things where they have chronic issues. So being non-judgmental of their own state and just accepting that this is the situation that they have and being able to accept that.
Actually, it's applicable to anyone else. Let's say you walk into the room and taking the test. And what happened if you judge yourself? Oh no, I could not do this test. That's one sign of the extreme. Another extreme, oh, I can do anything. With that attitude, so one is that you put yourself down. One is that you say that you boast yourself. What happened then? With the one that you put yourself down, you will not have much energy to do the work, right? Not the one that you boast yourself up. What happened if you fail the test? If you could not solve the questions? You understand that? So with this kind of non-judgmental attitude, you just go into the room to take a test without judging yourself, without judging the test, without judging the professor. You will be with the test. You'll be in tune with the test. No matter what happened, no matter what the result later on. It makes sense now? Right? It's happened. It's applicable to ourselves, our friends, whoever surround us. It's applicable to any circumstances, whether at work, at school, or at home, and so forth. And all the things we can talk about. Let them go. Accept them here too. Accept the situation, like we discussed last time. Whichever happened, you try your best and accept the result of whichever come. Your mind more at peace with yourself and others, right? Okay, so please remember, whenever you come across to MBSR, you should recognize these 7 attitudes. They work together. All right, so thank you. The next one, number 3, Scarlett, please. Read the question, please.
So the question asks, describe the differences between MBSR and MBM and their combined functions. So okay. I said that mindfulness-based meditation is a practice aimed at training the mind to function in a non-judgmental and a very moment-by-moment mode. And there is a strong emphasis on separating the physical brain from the mind and expectations and perceptions. And then I said that mindfulness-based stress reduction is a structured program that uses MBM alongside yoga. So it's more of a physical, I guess, activity type of thing. And as we said, it's an 8-week course with weekly 2.5-hour sessions. And that includes homework, yoga, sitting meditation, body scan. So I said that basically the difference is that pretty much anybody can do mindfulness-based meditation wherever they are. However, MBSR is using that in just a very structured program. And then their combined functions, I said that they're both there to encourage individuals to practice mindfulness in their daily lives and to help them with mental health issues and improve overall well-being.
So what's special about the MBSR? Why is they are so unique?
I would say that it combines traditional meditation, mindfulness practices in the clinical setting, and using also yoga and other physical homework aspects and working with others, because I assume that most people who practice MBM on their own are not in like a group setting.
How about the MBM, the mindfulness by meditation?
I would say most of the time people can practice MBM wherever they are, whenever they want, and you don't necessarily need a group and a big structured program.
It's more in general, right? Okay.
Yeah.
So oh, by the way, before we move on, do you guys know the difference between mindfulness and meditation? What's the difference? Amber, what's the difference?
So mindfulness is the ability to have a moment-to-moment awareness of what is currently happening, while meditation is the action of trying to achieve mindfulness.
Wow, you're great. That's correctly. Let me share with you right here. Right, mindfulness meditation. So my meditation choosing to direct your attention to a specific focus, a visualization, a focus on the breath. And this one, mindfulness, being aware of whatever you have here, being aware of things that you're doing, be with the present moment here. Yeah, so that's a bit different. And let's see here, right here. So this is a week section of MBS, including yoga, including body scan, and of course including meditation too. So that's why they split out for 8 weeks here. Okay, all right. And also please remember, MBS has been mindfulness-based stress reduction. They focus on the stress. Each mindfulness-based therapies have different function. For the MBSR, I focus more on the stress, because when you do meditation, especially when you recognize this type of attitudes, right? The moment that you let go of the past and future and accept the present, you'll be fine. Make sense? You're stress-free when you walk into the room to take a test, or when you have an interview, or when you are driving and so forth, especially in the stressful situation, like taking a test, having an interview and so forth, right? The moment that you just be patient, just let go of any thought that bother you, you'll be at peace. So that's why the MBSR function is geared toward transform the stress. Okay. All right. So the next one. Thank you. The next one, is that number 4? Is that right? Brandon, please. Okay, read the question.
Yes. Question 4 is discuss how mindfulness-based cognitive therapy can treat generalized anxiety disorder. So disclaimer, I am somebody who has generalized anxiety disorder, and so I'm also very like therapy informed. I've been in therapy, I am in therapy, and I'm taking classes on psychology and studying mental health for my master's thesis. So I had like a different lens that I took with this. So I found that mindfulness-based cognitive therapy is a relatively newer form of therapy that is being used to treat mental disorders like generalized anxiety disorder, maybe depression and PTSD. The study that Evans et al. Posted actually found that people who only had generalized anxiety disorder and participated in the mindfulness-based cognitive therapy, I think almost half of them originally scored moderate to severe scores, dropped to minimum scores, so rarely happens after doing the course of the mindfulness-based cognitive therapy. And I think one of the limitations of that study is that there needs to be like more of it happening. So people are still waiting to see if mindfulness-based cognitive therapy can be used long-term in the treatment of generalized anxiety disorder. But right now, like what this study and what some of the other ones found was that it can help alongside with just traditional cognitive-based therapy that's used for treating mental health conditions.
Okay. So can you tell the problem of depression? What's mean depression and the cause and so forth?
What?
I mean, what's mean by depression? The definition of depression and what causes of the depression and how the MBCT help us to cope with that.
Let's see. I know. Because I know this question specifically was the anxiety, and it actually limited. I think it was one of if you had depression, and did this anxiety study, then you couldn't do it because they only wanted people with anxiety. But depression is just that overwhelming fear or feeling of sadness or just no motivation at all. And I think another one of the readings that we did on depression found that people with I think 4 or more depressive episodes per when they did the study, they were found to be less likely to have those depressive episodes, which I thought was something that I found it very interesting and something I wanted to send to my therapist, because I think using both mindfulness-based cognitive therapy and traditional CBT can help with both depression and anxiety.
You know the reason why people have depression?
No.
No, anyone of you know the reason why people have depression? And would you know?
Does it maybe have to do with the fact that they're so caught up in the past?
And what else? Yes.
Like constantly thinking about the past, what they could have done, their actions and feelings, and just being stuck in that moment instead of focusing on the now and the present moment and how you're feeling.
They failed you, right? If they failed the test in the past, whenever they think about taking the test again, they feel so depressed. Or you break up with your girlfriends, boyfriends, right? Right? It may bring that kind of depression, especially during the COVID-19, right? So many people, especially the young people, they have that kind of depression about what? Could not graduate on time, could not see friends around, could not hang around with your girlfriends, boyfriend, could not have the work, could not have internship, and so forth and so forth. So many of them. You know what? The school I'm teaching, not only IUS, but University of Houston, yet last semester alone, the 2 students, they commit suicide in April, within a month. And at that school, the University of Houston, now they renovate the building because the building has the open balconies, so people, that the student could jump down easily. So that's why now they renovate in different ways. So it's pretty sad. And of course, you heard some sad story during the COVID-19. Some of them, they harm themselves and so forth, right? And that's what the cause of the depression. That's why MBCT come into place. Brandon, can you repeat one more time how MBCT help people who have depression in the practical sense? How?
Yeah, because I saw that like the things that are associated, the episode or the depressive episodes, the things that are associated with it, where cognitive-based therapy or CBT takes the approach of acknowledging those behaviors and wanting to change those behaviors or those feelings or those thoughts. Mindfulness, MBCT takes more of the approach where it acknowledges that this is happening, but I can't change it, so I might as well accept it. So more of that acknowledging and accepting rather than acknowledging and then immediately trying to change the behavior. And they found that it helped out.
Yeah, okay. Let me share with you guys here. So here, because of relapse in depression, loss of parents, loved one, divorce, job loss, and so forth, is stopping treatment and so forth, right? And here, self-depression, relapse, sleep too much, lost track of time, and of course, this is the spiral, mindless downward spiral of depression and anxiety here, feeling on unpleasant, attentional fixation, and so forth here. And let me show you here. Okay, here. So expectation and group impact of the MBCT, it just change the attitude, how we deal with that kind of mental health or mental problems, right? The attitude about the problem we have, and keep pay attention about our own mind and be mindfulness. That the practice mindfulness and skill here, mindfulness, acceptance, self-compassion. I cannot see with this one here. Let's see here. Okay. Study with rumination, distress, emotional reactivity, experience avoidance. So these are the symptoms of the depression, right? Rumination. We have a lot of thinking in our mind, and we so distressed. Firstly, about whichever thing we deal with. We have all kind of emotional reactivities and experiential avoidance. Especially for the youth and the young people, they have this kind of problem. When they feel depressed, they want to stay away from the groups, right? Wants to stay away from the public, family members and friends. So the MBCT help us to accept our situation, accept whichever happened to our mind. Later on, we talk about self-compassion. You guys know what's mean self-compassion? On one of you, we know about compassion, right? We be compassionate toward other people. How about self-compassion? What's mean?
I think just go ahead. Okay, I think self-compassion, I think I would break it down as just having empathy for yourself or being understanding of yourself, because once you're understanding of yourself, then you could love yourself more.
There's let me share with you the three main components of having self-compassion. Let me three components. All right, here, let me share with you here. It's so important. This is so applicable in your life too. Mindfulness, self-kindness, and common humanity. Of course, mindfulness means we do meditation. Self-kindness, be kind with ourselves. And common humanity, that what mean that everyone make mistake. Otherwise, won't be here, right? So if we understand these three components, much easier for us to have that kind of self-compassion. Usually we mention, oh, be compassionate toward other people. But if we don't have that kind of self-compassion to ourselves, if we don't accept ourselves, if we don't accept our mistake, if we are not mindful, if we don't have self-kindness to be kind with ourselves, there's no way for us to be kind with others. If we're so harsh on others, that's why this kind of authors, they postulate that if we have what we call self-criticism, that's so negative for our life. So we need to be kind ourselves, to be kind to others. To have the self-compassion. You have to have self-compassion, to have compassion toward others. That's what it's about. So it's so important. And accept whichever thing happened to our mind, and so forth. And these are the charts here: recovery, mindfulness, mindful awareness, mindful action, decentering, being mood, that's mean being in tune, whichever you do. That's upward recovery. That is what happened to depression. So, who knows what's meant decentering? Who knows what's mean? Anyone you know the meanings? Decentering.
Wouldn't that mean like focusing not only on yourself or like putting more emphasis towards other people, like being less centric?
Yeah, in one way, yeah. Anyone has an idea about decentering?
Isn't it like more of a kind of stepping outside yourself and realizing that it's not that big of a deal?
Yeah.
Like we're on a floating rock in space. It doesn't matter that you failed that exam. Of course it matters, but in the grand scheme of things, that's not going to ruin the rest of your life.
That's a point. Remember, if you go to work and somehow your boss, supervisor, manager may scold at you if you made some mistake. So you remember we used to say, don't take things as personal. Right? When they scold you, when they criticize you, not because you're bad, but because you made mistake on that particular job. That's simple. Is that clear now? Much easy. It's easy for you to move on if you have the kind of decentering or that kind of don't take things as personal. Make sense? All right, let's move on there. Thank you. Emily, number 5, please.
My question was, explained how mindfulness-based cognitive theory can be used to prevent relapse/recurrence in major depression.
Okay.
And it has been suggested that people who experience major depression will often associate their negative thoughts with their depression. And the more that these patterns of negative thoughts are associated with their depressive episodes, the more often they'll occur. And as time goes on, less stress is needed to provoke a relapse of a major depressive episode. But with mindfulness-based cognitive theory, people can avoid fixating on these negative thoughts and feelings and see them less as negative aspects of themselves and their memories, and more as a passing experience that they have to accept in the current moment.
Yeah, that's similar thing that we could discuss. All right, one more thing I want to emphasize on the thing to mention, don't take it as personal. Let's say if you made mistake in your writing, not because you're bad, but you just make mistake, all that part of mistake, that's all. Make sense? When I talk with you, when you talk with other professor, or when something happened in your life, right? It's just a mistake. We can make up later on. But that's why it's much easier for us to move on. Otherwise, you feel depressed when you have bad grade, when you have some kind of criticism. Makes sense, right? You feel that, oh, the whole world criticize you. Does that make sense? Look. So don't take it personal. We made mistake, move on. That's all. Okay. All right. Thank you, Emily. Yeah. Next one, Jessie, right? Yeah. Please.
Yep. And my question was number 6, provide evidence that supports that MBSR improves mental health and MBCT prevents depressive relapse. So for the first part, let me pull up what I wrote down. Mindfulness-based stress reduction has been proven through clinical studies to reduce symptoms of stress, anxiety, and depression. This reduction in symptoms was measured in one of the studies from one of the articles, I can't remember which one now, through the Beck Depression Inventory, the Spielberg State Trait Anxiety Inventory, and cognitive functions were measured using the dysfunctional attitude scale. And all the scales have been found to have significant improvements after the 8-week program. I think they tested them before, after, and then I think 2 or 3 months following. And they were found to have significant improvements. And also the Courtlaud Emotional Control Scale scores also improved in female participants, which indicates less suppression of negative emotions in women, such as anger or stress. I'm not sure why that scale only is relevant to women. I didn't say why, but I suppose it does. And all of the participants in the study had I'm not going to pronounce this word right, an electroencephalography done on their brain, or EEG for short, done on their brain immediately after, or immediately before, immediately after, and then several months after, and they were all found to have a more active left anterior of their brain, which relates to one's ability to handle stress. And they also had higher vaccine titers, which relates to their body's ability to fight off infections and viruses and diseases. It's also been proven to complement general disease management by decreasing stress and anxiety felt by the patient. That was all for the first part. Now I forgot what the second part was even asking about. Oh, the depression relapse. So in one of the articles, it talked about how the group doing the MBCT showed a significant less relapse occurrence, which was 25%, than the control group, which was 80%, which is a pretty big number. Pretty big difference for only, I think this one was also an 8-week trial, which is a pretty significant difference. And also it says that with repeated experiences of episodes of major depression, less environmental stress is required to provoke these relapses or reoccurrences, and that the process mediating relapse reoccurrences appears to become progressively more autonomous with increasing experience of episodes of depression. And the above suggests that the risk will increase, but it's also been shown, oh goodness, where did it say? I just had it highlighted. That with these sorts of programs, it makes it easier for patients or for participants of the study to recognize the negative emotion for what it is and then let it go versus dwelling on it and having that trigger a relapse. Because like we were just talking, depression relapses can be triggered by pretty much anything. It can be triggered by something traumatic or just the piling of day-to-day chores or hormonal imbalances. So once you become more mindful through these studies and through these programs and through these practices, it's easier to realize when something is maybe triggering you and you can do something about it or let it go, versus if you aren't aware that these things can build up and cause those sorts of relapses.
So again, it's now plenty of articles, plenty of research that prove the MBSR have so many people who have the stress problem, and the people who have problem with depression, the MBCT is so helpful. And by moving to question number 7, I can make the conclusion after this. Okay. Thank you. That's great. Jessie. Yeah, go ahead, Amber. You are the last one, please, Amber.
Yeah, so my question was compare and contrast the functions of mindfulness-based cognitive therapy, or MBCT, and cognitive behavioral therapy, CBT, in the treatment of depression scientifically. So both types of therapy, their main goal is to detach yourself from your own thoughts and feelings and acknowledge them, or not acknowledge them, but to recognize and change your thought patterns that cause you to fall into a depressive episode or have a depressive relapse. CBT focuses more on attacking those thoughts and actively trying to change those thought patterns and stomp them out to prevent yourself from having those thoughts again and going into a depressive episode or a depressive relapse. While the mindfulness-based cognitive therapy focuses more on detaching yourself from your thoughts and feelings, acknowledging them for what they are, which are just thoughts and feelings and not definitions of you, and accepting that you have these thoughts and that you have these feelings, and knowing that while you can't change these thoughts, they are still a part of you, and you should just accept them for what they are.
So which one you think is much easier personally for you?
Well, I do think personally just trying to ignore those feelings of depression and just thinking, oh, I don't feel this way, like, oh, I don't think this way, like, this is just like a moment, like, I don't always think like this, is easier. But with the mindfulness-based approach, you are actually healing from that and realizing that you feel this way, and instead of trying to turn it away and say, no, I don't feel that way, you're just accepting them as your own and realizing this doesn't define me. This is just something that's happening and it will be over soon, and I will focus on the present moment. It's harder, but it's definitely more healing for the person.
Let's say somehow if you receive a C on your test last time, right? And now you're going to take the second test. You have two attitudes. The first attitude that, yes, I can have an A for this test. The first attitude. The second attitude is that I try my best. Which one much easier in your mentality to focus your mind? Which one?
I think the easiest one is telling yourself that to just do your best. You've done all you could to this moment, and whatever you get is just what happens, and there's always next time.
That's why MBCT is so popular nowadays, because it's so practical, right? The CBT help us to correct our negative thought, right? Our depressive thought. But remember, they say that the more we resist, the more it persists. You know what I mean? The more we resist something, is the more it will come back to us. It's like you press down the spring. Make sense? The harder you press down, when you resist, the harder it hit you. The MBCT doesn't do that. You can accept that. You accept whether it's good or bad. You accept who you are. That's a bit different. That's relate to, let me share with you. Thank you. This is really good explanation, Amber. Let me show you what we call here the 3 waves of therapies. You can see here, right? The third wave, right? It's a behavior modification based on condition. You change your behavior based on the condition. Remember, most of you have taken some basic psychology course before, right? Remember this the experience, the horse experience, you know? Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, the horse or the dog experience. You remember that? That's experience before actually. At I mean that the psychologist provide the food, I think, for the dog, right? And at certain times, right, before they provided the food, they hit the bell, right? Remember that? And the dog was conditional of that kind of sound, so the dog recognized, oh, before having the lunch, they hear the voice, the sound of the bell. That's what they call the behavior modification based on condition. And second wave is identify and challenge that functional cognitive. They change the negative into the positive. That's what second wave. The third wave is meta cognitive shift, experiential change theory that can accept acceptance, mindfulness, cognitive diffusion, dialectic value. Later on, next week we talk about ACT, and you will see that too, ACT and DBT too. So that's what about here. The last one we share with you guys here. Here, this is the CBT. This is the MBCT. Okay, let's see here. Oh no, this one is more clear. Okay, see CBT here. Let me move back here. Thought content focus, thought process focus. What's mean thought content focus? Amber, you know what's mean? What's the difference between thought process focus and thought content focus? What's mean?
I think the thought content focused is focusing more on the feeling itself of, oh, I'm sad or I'm angry or I'm depressed, while thought process focused is more of thinking what led you into being more sad or what caused you to feel depressed or angry, and more of realizing what led you to this feeling.
Thought content focus, you focus to only one thought, right? Why you feel depressed, right? Thought process focus means the whole process of thought. How we have the stream of thought, we recognize, yeah, we have the stream of thought. Is the pick and choose one, right? The thought that we fail, the thought that someone criticizes us negatively, badly. But if we focus on thought process, the whole process of things happening, right? Okay. Distinguish dysfunctional and negative thought from healthy one. So replace the healthy thought within parts the negative one, right? But here, distinguishing thought as a thought. Remember the video clip, I think you watched last week or this week, right? You are not your own thought. Remember that? Remember that video clip, sorry? Yeah, so testing and challenging dysfunctional belief and invent new interpretation, right? To change the pattern. But here you don't need to change. You notice, allow your thought and feeling without fixing, changing, avoiding. You accept them the way they are. That's a bit different here. That's a bit different between the CBT and MBCT. That's why it's so effective nowadays, especially for the one who have the problem of depression, right? So you can accept, especially the word be present, be with the present moment, be acceptant, whichever thing happen, and let go of anything that happened. Okay, so that's great then. All right, so so please, Brandon, look, Jesse, you like to stay back? I'd like to talk with you guys briefly. Okay, so one more time, please don't take things as personal. right? Since I want to discuss with you about your work, that's all, and nothing to do with yourself. Okay, so please remember that, and not only applicable in this class, but everywhere. Right? Let's say your parents say something about your homework. It doesn't mean that you're bad. No, you just made mistake, and that's all. Or when you go to work, right? Or especially Brandon, when you talk with when you teach your students, somehow your student says something that you miss. It doesn't mean that they criticize your behavior. No, they get that little mistake. That's all. All right. So thank you.